Alright, I'm going to be tying an old Smoky Mountain attractor style dry fly pattern called a Rattler. Very similar to a Palmer, except that it's got a parachute post, or it can be tied with split wings like a Royal Wolf. I'm going to use black thread, get my thread started, and then the tail is a golden pheasant tippet. So I've already got a section of that cut out, and I'm going to tie it in about where the black bar is, maybe a little further. You don't have to fool with any body material on this. Basically the black thread is the body material, and 2 hackles will be tied in. I'm going to tie in a grizzly hackle, and I've got a feather that I've already cut from a saddle that probably still has enough for a couple more flies on it. Let's see if that one will be it might be a little too long. We'll go with the shorter one. And so I'll tie it in at the tail, and then I've got a brown hackle that I've taken from a brown saddle, and I will tie that one in. And then the next step is going to be tying in the wing post. I have tied these with the split wings just like a Royal Wolf, but the actual recipe just calls for a wing post, almost like a parachute fly, only we will not be wrapping the hackle around the post. It's basically giving you a fluff of white so you can see it, and because of that, and because of the palmered hackle, this is a great fly to use in very fast streams. And according to one of the books I read, I think it was Don Kirk's one about Smoky Mountain hatches. No, actually it was Ian Roeder's book about fly fishing in the park, where he talks a little bit about some of the flies. And he says the Rattler is a good one for what he calls uneducated trout. So I've put a clump of calf tail in the hair stacker, and we'll pull it out. Got the little pointy ends lined up. And I'm going to want this to be tied in about right there. I'm going to want this to be sticking out from my finger about as long as the hook shank is. And then if I get tied in good, then I'm going to sort of give it a tapered cut back here. And I'll just cover these up. Just to have a little taper between the back and the place where the hair was tied in. Try to cover up all the white. And then as far as the post goes, we are going to stand it straight up. And then I will wrap in front of it and gradually build up the thread in front, almost like a ramp, to sort of stand it up. And then of course the final step of getting it to stand up is around and down, around and down, around and down, and around and down. And then if you want to, like a parachute fly, if you want to tighten it up a little bit, you could do a few wraps around it. But that's going to stick up in between the palmered hackle and give you something that you can see. And then of course the rest of the fly is going to consist of just tying the hackle in. I know some tires do both at the same time. I find out when I do that, I invariably have to back up and start all over. So I'm going to start with the grizzly hackle, and you can wind it pretty close together. And then I'll do a couple on the other side. We'll go 3. Why not do 4? Tie off the grizzly. Trim it up. And then, so that we don't go anywhere, good time to put in a half hitch. And then I'm going to wrap the brown hackle forward through the grizzly hackle. And you can see this is a buggy looking fly. Floats like a battleship. So I'm going to do a few wraps of brown. I think squeeze one more in there. And then we'll tie off the brown hackle and trim. So you got one that's going to end up in my whip finish. Alright, then form a little bit of a head, make sure we got that hackle stem in there really good, and then whip finish, hook, crook, pivot, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll throw in a 6. And finally, a little dab of head cement. And you got a Rattler. So, somewhat like a Palmer, but the difference is it's got that nice little white parachute post, and you can see that fly is going to float.